Hello and welcome to From the Roots Up, where we're building our homestead together little by little from the roots up. I'm Christy, and with me today is my husband Lance, and we're going to be building our indoor seed starting area. Before we get started, I want to walk you through our supplies that we're using. The most expensive thing was this shelf. Now, we splurged and got a sturdy shelf. There are much cheaper options, but since this is our grow light setup for years and years to come, we wanted to make sure the shelf was sturdy enough to last all that time. And also something to take into account when you're buying a shelf are the width and the length of your growing containers. We like to use the 10-20 trays, which is pretty standard. Now, if you fit these 10-20 trays on, it will fit front to back, and you can fit 4 across on these shelves. These were Husky shelves, and we got them at Home Depot, and I will make sure to link those down below. And while I have these out, these seed starting trays are what we use, and for now, they're super cheap. They're $5 at Walmart, and they come with a dome for humidity dome. They come with a bottom waterer. This is what we start our seeds in. Hopefully we'll upgrade that soon, but since we spent so much money getting the whole seed starting setup going, that was an easy place to cut back on some cost. Another must-have when you're starting your seed starting setup indoors is grow lights. Now, these grow lights we got on Amazon, and they fit, again, take into consideration all of the dimensions of everything you're doing. And I looked at the shelf we were getting, and these grow lights fit perfectly across it. So we got these in a pack of 6 to start with, and we're gonna put 2 grow lights per shelf. I got these from Amazon, and I will link these also down below. In order to germinate, seeds need 2 things. They need water, and they actually need heat before they need light. So with that in mind, we have seed mats. Now, I do not buy seed mats for every single space on here. Typically, you only need heat mats when the seeds are germinating. And once they pop through the soil, they need light instead of that heat to get them up. And for this reason, we just take the same mats and move them from one plant to another once we start. We don't start all of our plants at the same time, and this allows us to save a little bit of money. These particular heat mats were not terribly expensive. They were on Amazon, and it was about $20 for a pack of 2, and I'll link that down below. Some more little expenses that went along with this. We got chain to hang the grow lights, and some hooks and some wire to help us hang those as well. When we first start out, we're going to be putting the grow lights 4 to 6 inches above the plants. But as time goes on, we'll need to raise those, which is why we got the chains and the hooks, because then every time we need to raise it, we can pull. And you can let your plants be your guide. If they're getting too leggy, that means the light's too far away and you need to lower it. And so you can kind of be guided by how your plant is, by how high or how low you need to be. The other thing that is not a necessity, but boy, is it going to be a nice luxury, and it wasn't that expensive to add on, is this timer. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking your plants are gonna grow better if you leave the light on them 24/7. Plants, just like humans, need their rest, and they have a sleep cycle, so they need the lights turned off at some point. You can leave the lights on anywhere from 8 to 16 hours. Typically 12 hours is a good bet. That's what we're going to start with. And just a pro tip, once your plants are growing and it's time to put them outside, don't just put them outside, because your grow light is not as strong as the sun, no matter how nice of a grow light you have. If you just put them outside, your plants are gonna scald and die. You need to do what's called hardening off, which is where over a course of a week or so, you take them out a little bit at a time. So I would put them out like for a few minutes the first day, and then I would bring them back inside, and then I would put them out and set them out for a little bit longer the next day and the next day, until I was putting them out for the whole sun cycle, and then they're ready to go in the ground. But if you don't go through this process of hardening off, then you're gonna have gone through all of this work of seed starting for nothing. So don't just jump to it and stick those beautiful little seedlings in the ground when it's time to put them outside. I believe that's all of our tools and equipment, so let's get building.
All right, I guess it's my job to get these lights hung on the shelf, so that's what we're going to work on. The lights come with clips. I don't know if you can see that. They just snap right on. I've got one on here already with a little mounting hole. And so I'm trying to clip them in about the same location on all of the lights, which is only about a ½ inch in from the edge, just because that way I can use the same length of chain every time to hang them. If they're all over the place, then there's a better chance it's going to be hanging crooked. So you just snap them on, and there is a protective film over this light, and I'm going to take it off now before I forget. I doubt that these get hot enough to cause it to melt or cause any problems, but I don't know, maybe it changes the amount of light or color of light, or I don't know. But they don't want the bulbs to get scratched up, so there's a film on here. There we go. We can just fall 13 that. So we're gonna have 2 of these on every shelf. The lights are the exact same length as the shelf, and so I don't have to measure to find center. Basically, we just have to get them home. So what I've got from Amazon are some little bitty S-hooks, and I didn't know what size they were because I ordered them on Amazon. Home Depot did not have anything nearly this small, and so after they came in, the problem is the hooks are too small to hook onto the bars on the shelf. They just won't even go around it. But they are small enough to hook into the chain, so I'm still going to use them. But I got just a little spool of copper wire that I can use. I'm crimping half of the S-hook so that it's not open anymore. You can see that. I'm just crimping it shut, and I'm going to run the little copper wire through it and then tie the copper wire onto the shelving. And that way I don't have to order a whole nother set of a different size of S-hook. So let's get one of these on, because I still have to figure out exactly what length I need for the chain. The chain did come from Home Depot. It wasn't pre-packaged. It's on the spools. You can go over where all the ropes and chains and things are. It's on the spools, and you have to have them cut the length that you need. And I think I got about 10 or 12 feet for this, or maybe I got more. I don't remember. We measured roughly, and I made sure I had a little extra. But that means I have to cut it into the pieces that I need. This is number 16 chain, and it's rated to hold about 10 pounds. These lights are not anywhere near 10 pounds, so I don't have to worry about that. It was just the smallest that they had. So that will hang. We do need them to be able to lower probably, I don't know, about there.
Sure.
So I'll take this off and just have to use my grinder. I would like to do, you know what, the way I ground her at, no, not quite, made a hook. It almost hooks itself on. Unfortunately, that's not going to hook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of the chain lengths first, because we know we need them to all be the same. So give me a second to do that. So as with everything else that I do, my first attempt wasn't the best. I'm not going to use that angle grinder to cut these anymore, because I can use my pliers and bend it. I don't know that it's any faster or slower either way, but I know that if I cut one of the links off, then I have to cut it off the other side also, and so I lose a link for every piece that we do. It'll bend out easy enough, especially for just my little pocket multi-tool. A bigger set of pliers would probably be easier. So yeah, that was pretty simple. We're going to bend them and finish the links that we need now. Okay, so I got the chains cut or bent and separated, and I also went ahead and wired all of these little S hooks up just to save time. So I just wanted to show you, it's just some thin, some like 16 gauge copper wire that bends really easy. And what I did is I put the hook on the inside of this second rail because the bracket on the light is going to be set wider, and that's going to keep this from sliding, so it'll stay still. I also made sure that the hook is facing in on every one of them because, again, the chain is going to be pulling away. That's going to make sure that it doesn't slip off. And also I set it off like that to keep it, if it's hanging straight down, then it can swing all 4 directions if it gets bumped, if the wind blows. Setting the top in will give tension, at least horizontally. It can still swing a little bit, but not as much. Some back and forth this direction, but hopefully it's really not going to be a problem. But that is why I was careful to do that on every one of them. And so now we're going to hang our chains. And when I was getting things ready, I discovered another mistake that I made. Originally, I bought cotter pins to connect the clip mount on the lights to the chain, and I think it was the smallest cotter pins that I could find, and not thinking that it could possibly be too small. And the problem is the eye on the cotter pin will fit through both the chain and the clip on the lights. And so I just went and cut some more of the copper wire, and we're just going to wire the lights straight onto the chain this way. So this should just take a second. So just give that a little bend. We'll do the same thing on this side. Should hold. Okay. Doesn't look. Yeah, not bad. I feel like this end is a little lower, but that's also why we did chains like this. It's not quite even. We'll just move the chain up 1 rung or half a rung. And as the plants grow, we can take this and we can just move it up as high as we need it anytime. Okay, so that's just a quick demonstration. I didn't get them even again, but we'll have them adjustable. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to get the chains for all of them set, and then we'll start wiring them up.
Are you helping us, Toby?
All right, we've got all of the chains connected, all of the hooks are on, so we're just going to go ahead and get the rest of these hanging. Right now I'm not worried about setting the height so much as just getting everything in place and getting our wiring done. I want the wires to be out of the way. We're going to have to leave enough flex in the wire to follow the light whenever we move it around. So I'm just leaving them all at the lowest setting right now. And we can figure out what that's going to look like. Most people probably stop and plan how they're going to do things. It seems that every time I plan something, you've seen it twice in this video already, it goes wrong. And so most of the time it's easier for me to just start and figure it out as I go. Come down here. These lights are designed to be daisy chained together, so you can run, it comes with the cable to either plug them into the wall or to plug them into each other. So we don't have to have 6 different outlets to run all of these, which will help. We can figure out the most convenient way to connect all these together, but we are still going to have room to move them up and down as needed. The first thing that I'm going to attempt is mounting our power strip right here on the front of the shelf. And partially that's because we're going to add another shelf later, and I don't want to have to be reaching behind everything to get to plugs, to move things around, to replace things as needed. And so I want that right here front and center. The power strip that we had laying around, I didn't go buy a new one, has places on the back to screw or nail into the wall and hang it on. But this being a little different, what I did is I just picked up a screw. This is a number 8 machine screw that does fit in the mounting hole, but it's so much smaller than the holes on the bracket. I grabbed some large washers and we're going to just sandwich that on there. Now I can use zip ties and hold the bottom, but this will be a good sturdy way, hopefully, or I'll find out that it's not, to keep this in place and support being tugged against a little bit as we are pulling and stretching and moving the wires around from time to time. So hopefully that will stay put. I can't crimp it down super tight because I don't have a screwdriver on the head of that bolt to hold it still. And I don't want to use pliers on the end of it and mess up the threading. So, but that's pretty good. That's finger tight. And we'll use just some zip ties to assist in keeping this nice and snug and in place. So that should hold, especially for now. Now we have a timer that we're going to use for the lights, but we're not going to use the timer for the heat mats. And so there's enough plugs on this side for the heat maps, and we should be able to connect the lights in here, stay away from the power button because this brick is so big, and even have an extra plug there. So I think what needs to happen is we need to start our power on the front corner of this light. all the wires are run and we're happy and we know we have room to move the lights up and down, then we'll use our twist ties. We'll do some cable management so that this isn't just a big rat's nest. We've got a plug from this end that we can connect back to the back row. And I'll try not to tear down everything that I've just hung. And then we'll go from this side on the back. These are a little finicky to get lined up just right. Straight down to the one below it. Come from that one to the front of the same row. And we could later, if we don't want these all to be timed exactly the same. It did come with extra plugs. We can plug one straight into the wall. We can plug one of them into the other side of the timer. But for now, everything is going to be on the same. And so I'm just daisy chaining them all together. Okay, that comes to the front here. The last one will connect back on the bottom. Okay, the other thing that we're doing, and I want to get these on so that I can figure out all of our cable management, are these heat pads, warming pads. We're going to have, let's put a couple of those down. Going to have 2 pads on 2 shelves. And again, those will all come and be powered off of this same power strip. Okay, so this is roughly what it's going to look like. Just need to go through and we need to get these cables all tied up, tucked nice out of the way, and we'll give you a shot of what it looks like when we're all done. All right, I think we've got it all done now. We got our little centralized plug station right here. I had to leave enough slack that these can be unplugged. I don't want them hanging down in the way, but there's no on-off switch for the heat maps, and so we've got to be able to pull the plugs in and out, and so there's just enough slack for that to happen. We've got 2 on top, 2 below. So my cable management, I don't know how well you can see. We love these little things. When we moved in, we got a bunch of these for just everything. The TV cables and video games and all this stuff. I like having cables clean and up and out of the way. And so instead of wiring straight to the shelves, the wire on the shelves, which I could have done, I brought most of them outside and wired them along by sticking these little mounting brackets on, and lots of zip ties. A few of them are wired onto the shelves. I mentioned earlier that we were going to have to find a way to have enough slack to keep adjusting these up and down, and so I've got a little more cable sticking out than I would like to have, but you know, we've got to be able to move them. So what I did was, with all of the lights on the lowest level, then I just made sure I had enough room for it to reach, and if I have enough room for it to reach the lowest, then I can move it up to the highest. On the ones where the wire has to connect to the one below it, there needs to be extra room, because we might not always be setting the height the same. If we're starting seeds at different times for different things, this one might be moved up high while this one is still down low, and we need that extra slack. So I just had to leave a lot of room. I just kind of took the excess and looped it around behind, hopefully to keep it out of the way, but that lets us pull and adjust. So all of the cables are tied up out of the way. We've got our heat mats. We have our timer programmed now, and it should be on right now, but we've got the switch for all of the lights solid mounted right up here, so it's easy to get to. We can still unplug that and take that out if we need to. When we get our second shelf, we've got another light coming off of this timer that we can route back around and connect those. So we brought some of our seed starts out to show how they fit. Left one empty just to show how the cables run, and you see how it all sits. And so I guess the grand finale is to hit the switch and see it all in its lit up glory, and hopefully it actually comes on when we push the button this time. We'll see.
Oh.
Yay! All right, so they're all working. Most importantly, the wires are out of the way, so that we're not snagging on them and fighting them and pulling things off the shelf. Cables just become such a nuisance, and so hopefully we're set to go.
Thanks for joining us as we build our seed starting setup. And if you want to see more updates, please like and subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.